Welcome back. Elvis Ramosebudi, accused of plotting to assassinate prominent South Africans, has been granted 3,000 rand bail in the Johannesburg Magistrate's court. Strict bail conditions have been imposed. He must report to his local police station 3 times a week and not approach witnesses. Ramosebudi was arrested on the 26th of April for allegedly plotting to kill beneficiaries of state capture and white monopoly capital. As many as 19 people were allegedly targeted. The magistrate also raised questions about the state's case, stating that there was no evidence to suggest that Ramosebudi was capable of carrying out the assassinations. He labelled the arrest as premature. Initially, the accused was charged with conspiracy to commit murder, but later the charges were changed to incitement to commit murder. The NPA stated that their evidence indicated that the accused had acted alone. He is scheduled to appear in court again on the 6th of July. Well, for more on this story, I'm joined now in studio by our reporter, Griselda Lewis. She's been tracking this story for us. Griselda, thanks so much for joining us. Well, let's start with the charges. I mean, the magistrate quite scathing towards the state's case, and it does sound like this has kind of been blown out of proportion. I mean, a man accused of essentially terror and plotting against the government. These are quite serious charges.
You'd recall the hullabaloo, if I may, that was made by the Hawks at the arrest of Ramosebudi, and then you've got just a couple of weeks later the watering down of those charges from conspiracy to commit murder to incitement to commit murder. In the very first place, we understand that the incitement to commit murder charge was not supposed to be there in the first place. Rather, the conspiracy to commit murder charge was not supposed to be there, because the indication would have been, you'd recall when the Hawks had sent out a statement, they said they expected more arrests to be made. So that would have given an indication that Ramosebudi did not act alone in this alleged assassination plot. So then you had the NPA come out and say they believe, as per their investigations that they've conducted since the arrest, that Ramosebudi had acted alone. So that really started raising questions about how the Hawks had conducted their investigation, and then scathing again when we're seeing from the magistrate today saying that there's no evidence to suggest at this point that he would have even gone out to carry out this assassination plot, if he even had the capacity to do so. Because recall as well, when the arrest was made during that sting operation, he was taken to Soshanguve, to his home, and when he made the allegations during that sting operation, saying that there were 6 assassins that were part of this coup plot, and a number of people who were going to assist in the assassination of these high-profile South Africans. When a search then was made, none of these snipers were found that Ramosebudi alleged to have in his possession. So the magistrate essentially saying, you know, this could basically be likened to a glorified 419 scam, and that's all that it could possibly be.
All right, what are some of the bail conditions, strict bail conditions? Talk us through those.
Well, that's right. He's got to report to the local police station 3 times a week, and of course not interfere with any of the witnesses. That will be very interesting to see who the complainants were in this particular matter. That certainly has not come out in court at this stage, apart from what we know is the letters that were written to the individuals who he's alleged to have tried to try and get money from to try and finance this assassination plot. So that'll be very interesting to hear that. But of course, he's got to abide by, I guess, those being one of the 2 strictest bail conditions before he does reappear in court in July.
Now, Griselda, you told me earlier you managed to speak to Ramosebudi's father. What did he say?
I think they're quite overwhelmed, to be honest with you, by what has happened. What the father essentially said to me was, on the morning that this arrest was made, he was under the impression that his son was going for a job interview. And next thing, returned to the household in Soshanguve, where Ramosebudi does live with his father and his mother. And essentially, he was in handcuffs, and saying they're all overwhelmed by the media coverage and what has happened. And they really feel, to quote his father, basically saying that Ramosebudi, would not kill an ant. That's directly quoting from what he said. So they really do believe in his innocence, and I think they're quite overwhelmed by the media coverage that all of this, has managed to grasp, but they're quite relieved that he's now out on bail, given that the defense had indicated that there's no cause for him not to be out on bail.
Because it does seem that it has been blown out of proportion, and it does seem to point to, as you said earlier, the Hawks sort of bungling of this and how they sort of came up with these allegations that this man was behind a major coup.
Absolutely. The way that the whole thing was brought to the media and, of course, South Africans was this wide-scale operation involving a coup plotter.
Yeah.
But now we've come to understand that there was no coup plot to begin with. What certainly seems to be the case now, of course, according to the magistrate, is somebody who acted on his own, possibly, and what looks like to be a 419 scam, who acted alone, yet that was not the presentation that was given by the Hawks in the first place. That indicated, of course, that you've got quite a number of people. They said, to quote, more arrests were expected. So you've got one man who's alleged to have acted on his own now at the moment, and the Hawks are basically with charges that have been changed, that have basically been watered down, and none of the hullabaloo that was made out to be in the first place. So it'll be very interesting to see as well whether the National Prosecuting Authority will even change the charges again as a result of the evidence and as a result of what's coming out in court now.
Griselda, thanks so much. We'll keep tracking that very interesting story. Griselda Lewis with us on that alleged coup plotter in court today, who was also granted bail of 3,000 rand. Well, officials of the